Hello everyone, welcome to ISCN Explains, and this is our a short video in which we will be talking about the further application process for your TIFR GS exam, that is JGEEBILS. Okay, so till now your exam, like, it happened in December, and after your examination you got your answer keys. You have seen your score, what score you were getting, and based on your score you have now got the interview shortlist for TIFR Mumbai. Okay, and the interview is around mid of Feb, I guess 16th or 15th Feb, something like that. So before that, you also have an orientation session. And in this video, I will be talking about some tips and the further application process, that how the overall picture is going to be. Okay. So based on my experience, I will be telling you some interview tips and also the application process and the things of which you have to be careful about. Okay. So, briefly introducing myself, I am Dipesh Joshi, an integrated PhD scholar at ISC Bangalore. And like, I have qualified TIFR, I have appeared for the interviews for TIFR, and I have a good experience of like what kind of questions they ask and everything. And for TIFR Mumbai, that was my first interview, and that was not good. Okay, so I will be telling like what mistakes I did and how then I came to know that how we should approach the interviews whenever we are giving interviews to any institution. Okay, so some general tips I will be sharing with you. And apart from that, if you want, I can start some interview question series also on this channel, where we will be discussing, like in some short videos we will be discussing about some interview questions which are asked in these premier institutions. Okay, so starting with the session, so basically, first thing is that you got your interview shortlist. Now, what is going to happen is, after some 10 days or something, you will be getting your a mail to complete your full application. Okay, so in that mail, you have to enter few details. Okay, and that is also a part of the selection process. So that is something in which you have to first enter your personal details, which are nothing but like your date of birth, your name, your application number, and all those kinds of things, some personal details. After the personal details, there is another section in which you have to write about your educational background. Like if you have completed your bachelor's, then what was the major subject in which you completed? Okay, and then apart from that, you have to write about any kind of fellowships or awards if you have like won. Okay, so you can mention them. Okay, let's say many people they participate in some research poster presentations during their bachelor's, so they get some award. Or if you get any award, if you get, that's fine. If you didn't get any, that is also fine. But if you have, then you have to mention. Okay, and another thing is that you have to mention about your publications, if you have any publication or not. Most of the people they don't have any publication in their bachelor's. Okay, but so I also didn't had, so that's not a big deal, but you have to mention if you have. Okay, after that, like your publication and all that, then you have to like any kind of internships if you have done in your bachelor's period. Like if you have like participated in some 1 month or 2 month internships at any institute, then you have to mention about the work that you did in that institute, about the supervisor under whom you worked, and like all those kinds of things you have to mention in that particular section. Okay, and these were some of your personal details. And then you can also like mention that did you have any break in your education or not. Okay, and all those kinds of things mainly you have to mention. And then comes the section, like there are some questions they ask, like they are some, you can say, out of the box questions, like do you have read any novel kind of thing. Okay, any interesting book you have read, so you can describe that why you find that book interesting. Okay, so many people they lie, they never read books and they wrote anything. So make sure whatever you are writing, you are well aware of that and why you like that. So there should be some kind of a logic behind that. That is what they want to check. Okay, so there are such kind of questions. And then like one question that they ask is that why do you want to do a PhD? Okay, something like that. Because I'm talking about the integrated PhD program for TIFR. So, and also for PhD, also they ask this question that why do you want to do a PhD? So everyone has some personal reasons, everyone has some academic reasons. So they can write that doing a PhD will strengthen them with all the available, you can say, um, training and knowledge that is required to crack this problem in this particular domain in this field. All those kinds of things people write, okay, and they're passionate about research. You can also connect some childhood memory, okay, to your current situation, that why you are motivated to do a PhD because of that particular spark or interest that you got at a particular moment. So you can connect those things and write. That is a beautiful answer to this. And then they can ask you that is there something like what was the hardest thing on which you have worked in your entire life? Okay, so like you have to answer like basically what was the hardest thing. So that could be any kind of problem. Okay, in your bachelor's you were doing some experiment, or in your like entire like in your whole life if you have like make some project, okay, something like that. It could be your childhood experience also, that the first summer project that I had made, so I had to research all these kinds of things. I collected material from my friends and we made this. So like that you can write and frame it beautifully, okay. And the another thing is they can ask you that what would be your dream problem on which you want to work if you got an opportunity to work on a dream problem, then on what thing you have to work, okay. Now the thing is, since this application goes to majorly three institutions, one is your Tifr Mumbai, another is your Tifr Hyderabad, and the next is your NCBS. Okay, that is Tifr in Bangalore. Okay, so since the application goes to three places, so this question this test your research interest. So if you see Tifr Mumbai is more focused towards your developmental biology, neurobiology, all those kinds of research areas. NCBS, they are more towards cell biology and microbiology and all those kinds of areas. And TFR Hyderabad is more towards cancer and all those. So, like there is a split in the research areas. Okay. So, if you want, if you have a dedicated research area in your mind, you should mention that, okay, that you are interested, let's say, in cancer. Okay. So, let's say you have heard about CAR T cell therapy. So, you can write that the future of cancer treatment lies in CAR T cell therapy, and there are these limitations in this therapy. So with my research, I want to improvise it and all those kinds of things you can write. Okay, because what happens is the professors will see that application if their research area you are mentioning and you're mentioning that what has been done and what needs to be done, all those things you beautifully explain, they like that application and there are high chances that you get a shortlist for that for the interview from that institute. So that is the major thing. And at the last, you can write that you're open to explore other areas and you have not decided like that, but you have to mention something in that. Okay. So this was about the application that they ask, and then there is a column for asking about like any other information you want to mention. So if you have qualified any other exam by then you can mention that. So during my time what happened was TIAFR Mumbai first round of interview call, it was like around 28 to 27 to 28 March, and 31st March was the deadline to submit the first this full application. Okay, and this was at 2023. Now I think the scenario has changed. The dates might shuffle, but the thing is that after that, like on 20th to 30th May, there was a second round of interview at TFR Mumbai. Okay, and then once you submit that application, okay, then at around 5th May you get a call from TFR Hyderabad, and NCBS call you get in between the time. Okay, so that was the whole scenario. So they call at different time frames. Okay, now many people they have this problem that their exams are going on who are in the last year of their bachelor's like me. So if the interview falls on two dates, you can ask them to shift the date to their most convenient date by mailing them. So they are very flexible in this thing and they might listen to you. Okay, so the second round of interview is offline and the first round is online. Okay, and the other thing is that yeah, so this was about the full application. Now comes the interview part. So since you are having an interview, the first thing that you have to keep in mind is as soon as you enter the interview. So if you are giving online interview, then I will recommend you have a paper and a pen ready with you, okay? And also, like it should be ready. Make sure you are seated in a room which is less noisy, no background noise, anything, okay? Because you will not be able to hear the questions and all that. And once you enter the room, so the interview lasts for around 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes max, not 20, also 15 only, first round of interview. Okay, the initial screening part. So in that interview, once you enter, they will ask you to introduce yourself. Mainly, there are 3 to 4 faculty members which are there in the interview panel. And once you give your introduction, you talk about your bachelor's, you talk about like what all these kinds of things, your basic introduction you can give. And after that, they ask you your favorite subject. Okay, like which subject you want to like be judged upon, or from which subject they should ask you questions. So for that particular thing, what you have to do is, so let's say your whole bachelor's was in biochemistry, okay, or like in botany, zoology, or any subject. But if your bachelor's is like focused towards a particular subject, it's better you mention that subject because you are more familiar with it, even though you have studied at the last moment for the exam, but you have studied something, right, for that particular thing. So that is the thing you can consider. And whatever you mention, make sure that you are fully like equipped with all the knowledge, okay, of that particular subject. So you don't have to mention any narrow area like cancer or something. You have to mention broader subjects or units like cell biology, molecular biology, genetics, or biochemistry. Okay, all these, the broader terms, not the niche top subject areas. Okay. Another thing, when you mention it, let's say you said biochemistry, you said cell biology, okay, you said mol bio, okay, then they will start asking very basic questions. Like they will begin with what is a gene? Define gene. So you will define gene, okay. Once you will define gene, they will ask you that the what are the different components of a gene. So you will say like introns and exons mainly. So one is a coding part, one is a non-coding part, like this. So now they will say, tell me a technique, okay, by which you can identify. If I give you a sequence of DNA, how can you identify that on the DNA, which part is coding, which part is non-coding? Then you can think of various techniques. Okay, so the first most important tip is to prepare for each and every technique. You can refer to the book Wilson and Walker. That is a very good book to prepare for techniques. Okay, apart from that, whatever subject you are like presenting or saying that you are confident in that, you have to learn all the techniques which are used in that subject. Let's say you are saying cell biology, so you need to know everything that is required in cell biology experiments, okay, from microscopy to agrogel, SDS page, everything you should know, okay. So that is the thing. So you should prepare the techniques very well. You should know which techniques should be used to identify what. That is the most important crucial thing you have to know. Let's say if during a like post translation modification, let's say they ask you how can you identify PTMs, okay, so you can say like if phosphorylation is happening, then the phosphate group will be attached, overall molecular weight increases, so you can use mass spectroscopy, because in mass spectroscopy you can detect the change in the mass. So that is how you should know about the principle, okay. And if you don't know the answer to any question, then you have to just say that you have to think, okay. So the thing is that the every question don't have any defined answer. The answers are variable. There are a couple of answers to every question. Only thing they judge is your thought process, like how much you can think, how you are thinking. So if you are like thinking loud, like if they ask me like so on that particular DNA, I have to identify the coding and non-coding regions. So which technique I have to use? So like I was thinking, like I said that we can use what do you call RNA-seq and all those things. So like we can compare with the mRNA sequences and we can see which part is expressed. But they asked me that experimentally how you will do that. So I don't have any answer to that. Okay, so at that time my interview was really fucked up. Okay, so but later I searched, so I got to know there is a technique called as R looping, in which you just hybridize your cDNA, that is your complementary DNA, from the expressed mRNA to your original template. And once they hybridize the exons, they form this hybridization pair, and the introns they simply loop out. So the looped out introns, they can be so this whole thing can be visualized in electron microscopy. So this was one thing. Another thing could be that you can use the northern blotting. You can use like some kind of what do you call as you can look for specific sequences which are coding based on the mRNA data, and you can use northern blotting to detect that. Another thing you can look for is your S1 nucleus mapping. So they can ask you like what next you can do. Is there any other way to do this thing? So they can ask you, they will see how much far you can go. So in S1 nucleus mapping, all the single stranded regions which are not paired up, they are chopped off by the S1 nucleus. So that's how like there are different techniques that can be used. There are bioinformatic tools that can be used, but the bioinformatic tools answer is not that much suitable to them. They want a wet lab answer also. So this was about the interview. So mostly it lasts for around 10 to 15 minutes. And once your interview is over, the main thing is that so based on your full application, based on your TIFR marks, based on your interview experience, okay, all those things, they give you a shortlist for the second interview. And then you offline, like you go to their institute, you give interview there, and then you get a final shortlist. Okay. So this is something that you have to focus on. They can also ask you questions on some basic chemistry, like if pH of what do you call as this much volume of solution is this, and like let's say pH is 5 for a 5 ml solution and pH is 7 for a 10 ml solution. You mix both, you tell the pH of the resulting solution. So questions like this, and questions like based on molarity, normality, all those kinds of basic chemistry questions they can ask in between. They can also ask you questions on distribution, statistics, probability. These are important things to consider. They can ask you, let's say, in this campus only you are having lots of trees, so you tell me that how can you make a distribution, on what basis you will make it. So you can say that based on the differences in the height we can make a distribution. Then they will say if you have to compare the this distribution for TFR Mumbai and NCBS, then how you can do that. So you can say that you can compare the mean median mode, all those kinds of things. So basic probability, basic statistics, and your this basic chemistry knowledge also they can check depending on the faculty who is there. Okay, so these were some interview tips. So what I will suggest you is, if you don't know anything, don't guess things. Okay, just if you think you are logically guessing, then only guess. Else say I can't recall. Can you ask something else? That is the most simple thing you can say. But don't go blank there. Okay, many people they like become blank. So becoming blank is not the solution. You have to be like always thinking something and conveying to them. That is the main thing that you have to focus on. And yeah, so this was the thing. All the techniques are very important. If you say mol bio, there is a high chance they can ask you about PCR, how can you design primers, how what should be the length of the primer, what will be the case if the primer length is too much, if the primer length is too small, then your number of PCR products, what which are formed, what is the formula, so which or at which cycle the first double stranded product is formed. This can be asked, so the answer is third cycle. So all those things, the basic concepts, okay, of PCR they will ask. If you say, so they can like come to PCR by asking you on in your bachelor's which techniques you have done. So you will say PCR, agarose gel, so they may ask from there. So whatever you say they will ask from that thing. So the thing is, the interview, how it goes, it is dependent on you. It is you who give them authority to ask from the portion at which you are good at. Okay. So that means that if you are telling something to be focused, so that that thing should be their focus, it's up to you. So if you are confident about PCR, then you should mold the things in the way like you have done this and you are confident at it, then they will ask from there and you will be able to answer. But let's say if you are not that much confident and you said some random things, then they can ask from anywhere and then it will be a problem for you. So these are some of the things that you have to be careful about. And regarding the SOP and all that, the basic principle to write the SOP and research proposal is you first research down all the faculties of that particular institute, whether it is Tifr Mumbai, whether it is NCBS, whether it is Hyderabad, and you see that on which particular domain they are working, and you can read their research papers. You can identify that this person is working in that particular area and it has he has done this much research, so you can see in the future directions. So in the paper there are some future directions which are written on the discussion only. You can see that what needs to be done, they write this thing what needs to be done next, okay, and this much is done, what needs to be done. Now from that particular thing, that all the future directions, you can frame your SOP that this much work has been done, and based on my experience or based on my expertise, I want to work on this to answer a new thing, that is this question. So that is how your SOP should be connected. It's better if you if you get a proper SOP format, because they change the format every year. So you can cite their papers also in your SOP, so that for the available information, so that also is a very nice strategy to write it. Okay, and please avoid plagiarism. Don't use any sort of plagiarism, okay, because all the applications, they go through a plagiarism checker, and if they found it, they will simply reject the application without even reading it. So that is something which is important. Another thing which I left is, in your full application there is something that you call as your referees. So basically, you have to provide the details of your two supervisors or two professors in your bachelor's, or anyone of your known, okay, who can write some recommendation about you. Basically, they don't write, they are given a Google form. So you provide the details in your application form, their mail ID, their phone number, their name and affiliation, and then they will get a mail, okay, from these institutes to fill the recommendation letter. So in that whole form, they will rate you out of 5 or 10 or something on some parameters, like how is the student's thinking ability, was he a regular student, or how was his academic performance. So based on this, your faculty or your known supervisor will rate you out of 5 or something. Some comments also he will mention. So this is something that is private to the supervisors only. So it's better you talk to your supervisors, okay? And please inform them in advance, because many supervisors, they are busy, and at the end moment when you have to submit, there is a trouble. So make sure you don't uh, fall into it. And yeah, so this was about the overall process. And once you qualify the second round and all that, so you get a offer to join the institute via mail, and then the process is pretty straightforward. So within 10 days or something, you can expect the full application form link. And after the first interview, there is a 1 month, I guess there is a 1 month gap there should be, but I don't know this year what will be the case. But 1 month gap, there will be second round of interview. And in case your examination dates are clashing, then at a particular date, then you can mail to reschedule it. So many people, they don't mail, they think that it will not be changed, and because they don't try even, they lose the interview chance. So that should not happen, because it happened with many of my friends. So I'm telling you, don't be so much introvert that you don't inform them, because they are very flexible people, okay? So you can do that. Yeah, so this was about the video. And if you need further interview questions, and if you need like other kind of help, do mention in the comments. I will try to make videos on that, okay? So thanks a lot for watching. Bye.